new addition this year, which is Chef Macc and T's Jerk Chicken. So they've joined us. We like to support local, and they are just down the street. You can ask them when they're available. I think it's Thursdays and Fridays and weekends, and they'll be able to tell you.
Could you tell us, the history behind this beautiful setup?
The history behind Macc's Jerk House. So we started in the backyard with one grill, doing orders online. I think this was towards the end of COVID, right? Everybody's life kind of stopped, and it gave most people an opportunity to decide, which direction did they want to take their life in. So for me, I had been working in restaurants since I was 15. And I was like, man, I've done fine dining, everything in between. So I'm like, what do I want to do? How do I want to continue being a part of this world, right? And I started watching Chef's Table during COVID, right? And there was a Brazilian chef on there. And in his restaurant, he would go into the rainforest and he would collect moss and mushrooms and ants and different forest fauna, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, man, this guy's really putting his world on display, right? So like some of the dishes are things that you would never have heard of before, right? And I thought to myself, like, that's how I feel about Jamaican food, right? Everybody can go to the corner and get, jerk chicken, curry goat oxtail, fish, fried chicken. Like, there's so many things that we see so often, but we don't know the history behind it, and we don't treat it with the reverence that it deserves. So I set out to create my own jerk seasoning, which then turned into me making the jerk chicken, which now turned into this, right? So I started selling just jerk chicken, rice and peas and coleslaw on Instagram, and then 2 years later I'm here now. So
yeah,
for the way that I season and prepare the chicken, that was my part of the story. The jerk seasoning itself, that's like passed down through the family. So my family's from Portland, Jamaica, and that's the jerk capital of Jamaica, right? My uncle actually owns a restaurant in Boston Beach Jerk Center, which is one of the most famous jerk centers in the island, right? So him and my mom, they both have played parts in how we've gotten to the final recipe. But yeah, there's a lot of secrets that go into that recipe for sure, yeah. Here, so I was doing a contract for the university healthcare networks, and I was doing the lunches for them. So I would bring the grills, set up, cook, serve, and then go home, right? And there was a lady there that said to me, she's like, what is your business? Because it's usually food trucks and those kind of people that go there, right? So they see me pull up with a van, and I'm taking everything out of the van and setting up. So they're like, oh, what is it that you do? So I told her that I'm a caterer, which is what I had originally set out to do in terms of building my business. But then this is the part that's like near and dear to my heart. So when I go to do events and things like that, this is usually what I'll lead with, right? Because this is where like the passion and the energy and the fun, I play the reggae, we got the grills going, it's a great time. So that's usually what I lead with. So she said to me that Meredith, who's the store owner, was looking to have a chef because people in the area had always been asking for food. As she's owned the store about 2 years now. So when she took it over, everybody would always ask, oh, are you making a restaurant? Are you doing a restaurant? We want food, we want food. So she was looking for a chef. I was looking for a place. And then Diane is the lady that I met over there. She connected us, and then, yeah. So I'm on Instagram, _Chef Macc. That's Macc with 2 C's, M-A-C-C. So people can go there. You get a glimpse of what we've done so far throughout the 2 years that we've been in full business with the catering, weddings, birthdays. We've done some funerals, like anything and everything in between. If you need us there, we'll be there. We have bar services as well, so it's like a full service, one-shop stop. I'm online on DoorDash. I'm online on Cooking. That's a new app that I'm actually one of the foundation cooks on Cooking.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so when that came to the city, I happened to be like one of the first 10 chefs to go on that platform. So we're getting back online there as well. We're just revamping the store to fit what we're doing now for the menu. But yeah, you can find us on DoorDash, you can find us on Cooking, you can find us on Instagram.
Amazing.
And Facebook as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've already done Coburg, Niagara, So I've done weddings out in those areas. As long as there's a space to put the grill and a kitchen, I'll be there, you know,
Amazing. Does the family also play, you know, any role in the business?
Oh my gosh, any role? That's entire role. We started, so again, when I started cooking from home, it was me, my mom, and my cousin. So they would box the food, they would write the little notes for the customers, I'd be out cooking. So we started this in the winter. So I was in the back on the grills in the winter time, getting the chicken ready and stuff like that, and they were like helping with the rice and packing up the food and stuff like that. The recipe, as I said, it comes from my mom and some derivatives from my uncle. All the girls that work for me for the catering events, those are all my cousins, nieces, sisters. Like, it's all family. It's all family.
Amazing, amazing. And you know, last week, you know, I met you with you know, at AK, you know, event. That was a huge, you know, event. And how do you guys manage to connect? And how did
AK?
you find? Yeah,
so it was one
AK
of, like, what's his name?
This Daniel and David. Yeah, because these are the two brothers. Right?
No, there was a guy that comes here every day.
Eddie.
Eddie.
Okay,
yes,
Eddie, right.
Eddie, yeah.
Okay.
So Eddie comes here every day. When we first came, he was one of the first people that came by.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we built that relationship, and then he went to work and he spread the word. So then a few more people came. And then from there, I guess they contacted the boss. He came by one day and he was like, man, everybody at work is talking about this place. I didn't know you guys were here. So I was like, yeah, you know, we've been here for a couple weeks now, blah, blah, blah. So we connected like that. Then he tried the food. He came back. He brought some for his wife. So it blossomed like that. And then they called me and asked me if I wanted to do the event. And I was like, of course. Yeah. Like, you guys are some of my biggest supporters, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, for sure.
Definitely. You know, that was huge.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, you know, actually loves the food. And I remember one guy had ticket for the burger, but he actually, you know, tried to, you know, ask if you could exchange it. How you interact also, you know, with your client. It's really amazing. It's not just the food, also the service.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of, you know, play hand in hand. So, you know, that actually makes people travel miles and, you know, also hours, you know, away from their home just to be here.
Yeah, if I look at it like this, man. If there's a million places people can go to get food, especially people who never seen me before, never tried the food before. It's their first time interacting with me in the business. I want to pay homage to that. You don't have to spend your money with me, but you're choosing to. So I want to make sure that top to bottom, and that's the reason why I use my family and close relatives and people around me, because when we're together, we're having a great time. We're making jokes. We're smiling. You know, like it's a great energy. So I bring them with me to events because I want that to be shown in how our business is represented, right? You know, behind the scenes, very serious how I approach the food and things like that. But when I'm dealing with the customer, it's like, this is a moment where we can enjoy. I look at food like family, right? When you sit down around a dinner table with your family, or you get together with your friends at a gathering, it's always the food that brings people together. That's a time where we sit down, we look each other in the eye, we talk about, you know, important things, serious things, funny things, we be vulnerable, and we share that moment over a meal. So when I deal with my customer, those are the two things that I always keep in mind. I'm sharing this moment with you, and I also want you to feel good knowing that you're spending your money in the right place.
Absolutely. Like you have
on the menu. So right now we have the classics. We have jerk chicken, we have oxtail, curry goat, and steamed fish. As we expand throughout the rest of this fall season and winter season, and the kitchen and things are finished here, then we're going to extend the menu. So we want to look to do some breakfast as well, and then we'll have other staples like porridge and soup and those things throughout the day, so that people can come by and get you know, anything that they're feeling for. Well, like I said, once things are finished inside here, and then we can figure out the logistics of the kitchen, how we're going to serve, then we're going to extend the menu. So right now it's just making sure that the customer experience is still the same. So that way when people come, it's quick and easy and there's not too much of a line. And even if there's a line, there's space and room for that kind of stuff, right? So that's the first thing. And then once that's settled, then we extend the menu. So hopefully October, we'll have new items trickling in. And then we're looking to add them bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, we'll be adding something new to the menu. The jerk seasoning has 3 ingredients that we get from Jamaica. So my family goes to Jamaica once a year. So my mom and my stepdad are retired. So they're there for like 4, 5, 6 months at a time. So when they go, they gather up a bunch of stuff, they come back. So there's 3 ingredients in our seasoning that we don't get from here. Oh, for sure. Yes. Throughout the journey of building the business, I always remember like my time when I was 15, 16, 17, and I couldn't get a job, right? Because you know that cycle. It's like you need experience to get a job, but if you can't get a job, you can't get experience.
That's right.
Try to make sure that whenever I see, especially young black people trying to find their way into the working world, I tell them, come work with me for the summer. Come spend a couple months with me. That way I can give you the soft skills that you need. That way, even if you don't have experience, when you go into the interview, you know what to say to be able to represent yourself in a way that you're a valuable employee. Because I know when I was coming up, I didn't have much of those opportunities. So I definitely seek it out. Like as I said, my nieces and nephews, the younger people who are around me, I talk to their parents, I talk to my friends and family. Like the boy that was with me this summer, that's one of my friends. Like we grew up together. That's his son, right?
Oh, wow.
And his son was looking for a job this summer. He couldn't find anything.
Oh, wow.
He went to a couple job fairs, those work meetings, whatever. Couldn't find anything. So I said, yo, stop wasting your time. Come. I'm gonna give you the skills you need, so that way when you go to a job interview, you know what to say. I'm gonna teach you how to carry yourself in those interviews, and then once you're ready, you'll be able to get a job somewhere.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
What I would say is get a job, right, to start so that you learn all the ins and outs of a business. And then once you've done that, say that takes you, look at it like school. It might take you 5 years like you're getting a degree or diploma, right? You go to school, you go to work, you learn, and then after that, set out on your own. The beautiful thing about cooking is that for culinary, even though it is a very saturated market in a city like this, everybody's story is unique. Just like for me, how I learned from my uncle, my mom, my godmother, all of those influences are what play a part in how I approach food. I went to George Brown, I went to Humber, I worked in fine dining, I worked in casual, like I've worked in so many different environments, and that's what's placed me, in the kind of niche that I'm in now, right? So I would encourage all the young black chefs out there, go and get a great job, push yourself, dedicate yourself to that for 4 or 5 years, and then after that, branch out on your own and see what you can make of yourself. Because there's places on like Bloor Street that are very niche and unique, Indian, Mexican. It's somebody who grew up in that culture, and now they're representing their culture and their Canadian growth and development, or they're training through these schools. They're putting it all together and they're creating something unique, and people love that, right? People want to be able to experience different cultures in a way that's approachable to them, right? So like me selling chicken, to the average person, it's just chicken. But to me, when I look at the hundreds of years of history that go into my seasoning, when I look at my culinary background that has taught me different ways to prepare and season the chicken, and then my family influence, like now we have a different product. So as you tried it, you taste the difference in it, right? Yeah. Making sure that I always cook on a charcoal grill. I don't do jerk in the oven. I don't use jerk paste from the store. You know what I mean? Like those little things are things that, and especially because of where I come from, in Portland, Jamaica, and my background with my family, that's something that is unique to me, and I'm able to present it in a way that is palatable to people, right? So to the consumer. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's amazing.
Man, that's a great question. So I would say that this is something that was it was force-fed to me growing up. My aunt and uncle had a restaurant here, and I started working for them as a kid. Same thing like I said about the youth that I train, right? Yeah. I started working with them, cleaning chicken and, cleaning tripe and doing those kind of things in the kitchen. My sister, my mom, and my godmother are all amazing chefs, like wonderful, right? And I would always just be sitting in the kitchen watching them do their thing for the family events, and like how people would just like fawn over the food and things like that. So that was a bit of an influence. Then when I went to high school, I got involved in a cooking program where I actually went to the program because they give free lunch. So when you work in the kitchen, you get a free lunch, right?
Nice.
Right? So I I was involved in that. So it's like, when I look back over my journey, there's been so many influences and so many moments that led me towards cooking. But the biggest people who pushed me was my high school teacher, Mr. McLean, a gentleman named Damien that I worked with at Casey's. He kind of took me under his wing and showed me the business and really pushed me to like being the best version of myself in the kitchen. And then along the way, all the restaurants that I've worked at, Mark Solomon, Dan Balan, like there's so many chefs that I worked for that have, you know, molded and guided me along the way. And then a lot of my colleagues, friends that I've made along the way, you know, steel sharpens steel. So they're amazing chefs. They have amazing, extensive culinary background. So I'm like, I've tried to keep up with them and beat them over the years, right? So, yeah. I am a second generation Canadian, right? I grew up here. So my entire family, I'm the only one that wasn't born in Jamaica and didn't grow up there, right? So me having a connection to my roots is so important to me, right? Because obviously at home, I feel and see the differences, right? Like the understanding and the way that my family views the world. Yeah. And that made me want to know more. So every chance I get to soak up more and more of my culture, I seek it out, right? And now that I have a chance to represent my culture in this way through food, it's like all my worlds have come together in such a positive, beautiful way, right? So I meet in the middle here where I get an opportunity to now further my knowledge and understanding of our culture and what makes Jamaican food, and I get a chance to represent that to people, as I said, who they look at our food and our culture as just like, you know, styrofoam food in a styrofoam box of food. You know, you go, you spend your $10, you get something nice, and that's it, right? But then to understand the difference in curries, the things that go into making different types of curry, different types of jerk seasoning, the all-purpose seasonings, the chicken seasoning, the to-the-bone seasoning. Like there's so many different blends of spices and herbs that we use in Jamaica. And I get a chance now to go to Jamaica every year and talk to the vendors that make these spices, that dry their peppers, that dehydrate their onions, and they blend these things up and they put it together. The people who go to different parts of the islands and they get salt from here, they get pepper from here, peppercorns from here, they get Scotch bonnet from here, they get chilies from here, and they put all of those things together to make seasonings that they sell in the market. Like my opportunity to go back home every year and be a part of that in such an immersive way, it makes me feel whole. So that's why when I approach the food the way I do, that's why you see it's like I'm in a different world. Right? It gives me an opportunity to, as I said, connect with my ancestors, connect with my heritage, and just represent that in such a real and physical way that other people can taste it and experience, right? Like, as you said, your experience having it. I love when people come back and they're like, man, I don't know, there's just something different about this, there's something about it, right? When I was growing up, it's funny that my godmother had one of these, right? And she used to barbecue. It felt like every day. It felt like every day she was out there cooking chicken, right? Because she had a bar in her basement. Again, very cultural to how we are, right? There's always a bar, there's always food, right? So at my godmother's house, you know, they're serving their alcohol, everybody's having a good time, people would eat. She's doing barbecue chicken, macaroni salad, rice and peas, white rice, curry goat, like just the things that we all love to enjoy, right? So growing up, I've always been around this. I've always seen it, and I've seen how it makes people feel great. Like people come here and they'll buy 5 food for their family, right? And I know that night everybody gets to relax, nobody's in the kitchen stressed out. They sit down, they're sharing that moment together as a family. So there's so much that goes into it, right? And there's so much of me that represents in the food and what I love: family, good times, camaraderie, sharing moments. You know what I mean? Like there's so much of that goes into it. So it's like a perfect storm for me being in the kitchen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you've given it all you got, you know, to be where you are. And I feel it's also now my responsibility to give it all I got in sharing the story to the world. And I can't wait to actually, you know, tell the world the beautiful story and the moment we share right here, right now, and the amazing, delicious food that you're making.
Yes, sir.
And I
appreciate that.
And I know it's about time now. The world out there needs to know about you.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
You know, it's a blessing, you know, to get to spend this moment with you. Such an amazing soul, amazing chef, an amazing human being too.
I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much.
Yeah, man. Thank you.